Do you use your period as an excuse to overeat? I can sense the tension already, but girl, I'm calling you out in the most loving, compassionate way I know how, because deep down, you know this cycle you keep going through isn't good for you. Period cravings are real, don't get me wrong, and I also think it's totally okay to help yourself deal with the physical and emotional discomfort that comes from that time of the month with your go-to treats, if you're cool with that. What I see the problem being is that many women feel like it's totally out of their control. They do so good for weeks, eating meals that are good for their bodies and acting in accordance to their goals. But then when Aunt Flo comes around, it's here we go again. And it doesn't feel good, at least not for long. During the initial conversation I had with one of my current clients, she admitted that she can't help but fall off the wagon when her hormones get the best of her every month. She had no doubt in her mind that overeating on sweets was inevitable. It felt out of her control, like she was helpless. It was something she had just let happen, regardless of how poorly it affected her progress, how she felt, or how difficult it was to get back on track after a week of eating cake. She never questioned it. That's just how it was. It was her hormones. There was no changing it. But one day, I asked her what would happen if she didn't overeat on cake during her next cycle. She told me that was impossible. I kept digging because I wanted to better understand where this belief was coming from. After some exploring, it was obvious that the eating had barely anything to do with cravings, and basically everything to do with the fact that her mood was incredibly affected during this time. The way she acted towards her husband, her kids, it made her feel horrible. She felt guilty. The only way she knew how to help mask some of the strong emotions she was experiencing and hopefully prevent some moody blowouts towards her loved ones was through food. Delicious food gives us an instant hit of dopamine, which can elevate our emotional state pretty quickly and reliably. She was blaming it on cravings, but really, the problem was her emotions. Emotions so strong that she felt helpless over them. Rather than learning to cope with them in a healthier way, she clung onto the idea that honoring her cravings would tame her, at least for a little. The truth is, our hormones don't actually change our cravings. They change our emotional state. We've just been taught to cope with the discomfort of our changing emotions via food, especially high reward food like chocolate, ice cream, chips, etc. Having 1 week of the month where you eat any and everything you want isn't inherently bad. If that's serving you, go for it. But 1 week is 25% of the month. Think of how much more progress you'd make if you learned to cope with your emotions in a better way, without helplessly resorting to multiple chocolate bars and bags of chips just because it's that time of the month. Weight loss aside, wouldn't it feel good to just feel in control around food again? To not admit defeat over food when your hormones get the best of you? If you want to end this cycle of self-sabotaging every month, I promise you don't need any hormone balancing supplements or healthy brownie recipes. What you really need is a set of strategies for coping with your emotions in a healthier, more empowering way so you no longer need to resort to food.